After 70, throw away these 5 things for a peaceful and happy life. 1. The regret over the past. 2. The fear of being alone. 3. The need to please everyone. 4. The people who drain your spirit. 5. The belief that it's too late to begin again. I want to thank you for spending time with me today, because what we're about to share might transform the way you look at your later years. If you're over 70 or even just approaching that milestone, you already know that life feels different now than it did a few decades ago. Your priorities shift. Your perspective changes. Maybe you have grandchildren or a circle of dear friends who stood by you for years, or perhaps you find yourself more alone than you expected. Wherever you are on your journey, I'd like to ask you a question. Does your heart sometimes feel heavier than it needs to be? Do you sense, deep down, that there are things you're still carrying that don't serve you anymore? Age itself can weigh us down, but I'd argue that it's not the years on the calendar that create the heaviness. It's all the emotional and mental baggage we've collected over time. Today, I want to talk about letting go of 5 specific things that often burden people after 70. This isn't about giving up on life. It's about giving ourselves permission to live more fully with the time we have left. When we throw away what no longer serves our peace, we open up space for gratitude, for laughter, and for genuine joy. Let's begin by talking about regret. It's a word that surfaces so often when we speak with older adults. Regret might appear in quiet moments, late at night when you're trying to fall asleep, and your mind replays events from decades ago. Maybe it's regret over something you didn't do, an opportunity you didn't take, a dream you let slip away, or words you never told the people who mattered most. Or maybe it's a regret over something you did do, a mistake you wish you could erase, a fight you could have prevented, or a decision that changed your path. The truth is, regret is universal. If you've walked this earth for 70 or more years, it's almost impossible not to have regrets. And that's okay. None of us are perfect. We all make decisions under the pressures we had back then, armed with the knowledge we had at the time. The question isn't whether regret is normal. It is. The question is whether you're going to let regret define the years you have left. When you carry regret, you're effectively trying to change a script that's already been written. It's like hoping that by replaying the same scene over and over, you can somehow alter the ending. But that's not how life works. What's done is done. There is no time machine. The past can't be rewritten, but it can be reinterpreted. You can look back on your mistakes or lost chances and say, yes, that happened. It shaped me. It hurt me. It taught me. And now I'm using that lesson to become a kinder, wiser person here in the present. When you approach regret with that perspective, it stops being a chain around your ankles and starts becoming a teacher guiding you forward. Forgiving yourself is a massive piece of this puzzle. People sometimes tell me, I can't let go of what I did. I can't forgive myself. But imagine if your best friend told you about a regret they've harbored for years. You'd probably reassure them, remind them of all the good they've done, and urge them not to let a single mistake define their entire life. If you can show such compassion to a friend, why can't you show it to yourself? Self-forgiveness is not about denying accountability. It's about acknowledging that we're human, that we are allowed to grow from our missteps, and that every day alive is another chance to turn regret into wisdom. Accept the past, release the regrets that have been haunting you, and decide to live the remaining years unburdened by what can't be changed. That is the gift of maturity, learning that we have limited time left and choosing not to spend it in a mental battle against something we can't fix. Now let's talk about the fear of being alone. This is something that resonates so deeply because as we age, it's natural to watch our circles shift. Children grow into their own adult lives. Friends pass away. Spouses and siblings may not be here anymore. The large gatherings of yesteryear might have dwindled, leaving you with more quiet moments than ever before. Sometimes that quiet can feel overwhelming or even suffocating. You might feel a pang in your heart thinking, does anyone notice I'm still here? The fear of being alone is powerful, and it can lead us to dark thoughts or feelings of invisibility. But there's another way to see solitude that isn't about loneliness. The space you have to yourself can be transformed into a sanctuary if you let it. It can be a canvas for creativity, a quiet stage where you finally hear your own voice. When you no longer have to take care of everyone else or meet deadlines, you have the rare opportunity to spend time on what genuinely nurtures you. Perhaps you'll find comfort in journaling your life stories, so future generations can read about your experiences. Maybe you'll pick up a paintbrush and let your imagination run free, or you'll plant a garden and watch new life grow before your eyes. This solitude can be a time for listening to music that soothes your spirit, reading books that spark your curiosity, or learning something new online that you never had time for before. Being alone doesn't automatically mean you're unloved or forgotten. Sometimes people love you quietly. They may not call every day, but in their hearts, you are cherished. And sometimes we assume others know how we feel, when they might just be waiting for a sign that we still want to engage. So if that fear of being alone is creeping into your thoughts, consider making a small, brave move. Reach out to someone you trust and invite them to share a moment with you, whether it's a phone call, a cup of coffee, or a heartfelt letter. You might be surprised by how many people would love to connect, but just don't know how to initiate it. The ultimate message is that solitude can be a place of healing. You don't have to fear it. You can turn it into a friend, an opportunity to reacquaint yourself with who you truly are when no one else is around. That in its own way is a profound gift of this stage in life. Another heavy weight many of us have carried for far too long is the need to please everyone. How many times have you said yes just to keep the peace? How often have you stayed silent to avoid conflict, even though something inside you begged you to speak up? There is a strong chance you've spent decades being the peacemaker in your family or community, always making sure no one felt uncomfortable, always pushing your own needs to the back burner. That pattern might have worked for you in certain life stages, but eventually it can become a source of stress and resentment. One day you wake up and realize you spent more time trying to make others comfortable than living authentically. After 70, you've earned the right to be free from that burden. Letting go of the need to please everyone else doesn't mean becoming rude or uncaring. You can be kind and considerate while still honoring your own voice. It's about setting healthy boundaries, understanding that you don't have to volunteer for every family drama, and you don't have to keep your opinions locked inside just because they might make waves. If someone asks you to do something that saps your energy or goes against your values, you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to speak your truth gently but firmly. In fact, the people who genuinely love you will respect your honesty. If they don't, that says more about them than it does about you. Real, healthy relationships can handle your truth without falling apart. When you let go of people-pleasing, you often gain clarity. Suddenly, you're free to do the things that align with your spirit. Maybe it's taking up a new hobby without worrying if someone in the family thinks it's silly. Maybe it's traveling when you feel like it, or simply spending your afternoons exactly how you prefer, without guilt. This freedom can be startling if you've never allowed yourself to experience it before, but once you taste it, you realize it was always your right. You'll also notice that the relationships that remain in your life after you stop people-pleasing tend to be more genuine and reciprocal, built on mutual respect rather than silent resentment. Now, let's address the relationships that truly drain your spirit. We've all had at least one connection in our lives that feels toxic or exhausting. It could be a friend you've known since high school who criticizes you relentlessly. It could be a relative who always guilt trips you. It might be someone who only shows up when they need something from you, then vanishes once their needs are met. Sometimes we keep these relationships around out of a sense of duty, history, or even fear of confrontation. But let me ask you this. If you only have a finite amount of time left, do you want to spend it tied to relationships that rob you of peace? You might say, but we've been friends for 50 years. Or, but they're family. Isn't that my responsibility? History alone doesn't justify ongoing toxicity. Being related by blood does not grant someone the right to belittle you, abuse you, or drain your energy. At some point, you must choose your own well-being. That choice can be difficult because walking away from long-standing relationships, even negative ones, can trigger guilt or sadness. But think of it as creating space for something better, more uplifting friendships, or even the peace of mind that comes from not dreading phone calls anymore. This doesn't mean you wish the other person harm. It simply means you're giving yourself permission to remove a source of consistent negativity from your life. Paradoxically, this can sometimes inspire the other person to reflect on their behavior. But even if it doesn't, it frees you to live the latter part of your life with less stress and more tranquility. Finally, let's talk about the belief that it's too late to begin again. If you've been around for 7 decades or more, you might feel that your life script is already set. You might assume that whatever dreams or passions you haven't pursued yet are now out of reach. Perhaps you think, I'm too old to learn that, to change that, or to try that. But is that really true? Age may bring physical limitations, but the human spirit remains capable of curiosity, growth, and reinvention if you allow it. There are countless stories of people who discovered entirely new passions after 70 or 80. Some picked up painting or writing. Some started businesses from their living rooms. Others found new love late in life. You don't have to aim for grand achievements or seek to become famous. The point is that, as long as you're alive, there's still a path forward if you want it. Starting again could mean anything from learning a new skill to making amends with someone you fell out with years ago. It could mean traveling to a place you've always dreamed of, even if it's just a short trip. It could mean volunteering in your community in a way that sparks excitement in your heart. Or it might simply mean changing the way you see yourself, no longer defining yourself by the roles you used to have, but by the person you are right now, in this moment, with so much history and wisdom behind you. If there's one thing I hope you take away, it's that your story doesn't have to flatline just because you've reached 70. The final chapters can be the richest if you write them with awareness and courage. We've covered a lot of ground: letting go of regret, releasing the fear of being alone, freeing ourselves from the need to please everyone, distancing ourselves from draining relationships, and rejecting the lie that it's too late to begin again. These aren't small shifts, they're transformative. Each one can lift a weight from your mind and heart. Imagine how light you'd feel if you truly made peace with your past, if you welcomed solitude as a friend instead of an enemy, if you spoke your truth openly and surrounded yourself with people who honor your worth, if you dared to believe that new experiences still await you. It might take time and conscious effort, but the reward is a sense of freedom that can make the years ahead more vibrant and purposeful than ever before. Sometimes people worry that throwing things away, like toxic relationships or old regrets, means losing a part of themselves. In reality, you're only losing what doesn't serve your highest good. You're shedding layers of pain and worry, allowing your truest self to emerge with dignity and pride. Life after 70 should be about collecting moments of ease, grace, laughter, and connection. It should be a time when you allow yourself to do the things that bring you peace, whether that's tending a small garden, spending afternoons reading on the porch, or watching the sunrise with a sense of gratitude. The greatest gift of age, in my view, is the realization that you don't have unlimited time to waste. That realization can feel scary, but it can also be your gateway to living more fully than ever. If you feel any resistance about letting go, remind yourself that you're not doing this to run away from your responsibilities or to deny your past. You're doing it to honor the life you still have. Whether that's 5 more years or 15, each day is a chance to breathe more freely by releasing whatever is weighing you down. Some people call this decluttering the soul. Others call it emotional minimalism. I like to think of it as choosing to live in light. When you walk through the next years of your life without excess baggage, you may find your health improves, your sleep becomes deeper, your relationships become more authentic, and your capacity for joy expands. You can experience small wonders, noticing things you missed before because you were too busy carrying burdens that belonged in the past. I want you to remember these 5 major points not as a rigid list, but as an invitation. Letting go of regret is an invitation to peace. Overcoming the fear of being alone is an invitation to self-discovery. Releasing the need to please everyone is an invitation to personal freedom. Walking away from people who drain your spirit is an invitation to emotional safety. And discarding the belief that it's too late to begin again is an invitation to possibility. Each one is a door you can open at any moment. Even if you only open one door at a time, you'll notice a shift in your emotional landscape. Perhaps the biggest key is giving yourself permission to prioritize your well-being in the last decades of life. That's not selfish, it's wise. When you're at peace, you radiate a calm presence that benefits everyone around you, including the younger generations who might be observing how you handle aging. You become a living lesson that life is precious and that we always have the power to evolve. As we reach the end of this conversation, let's take a moment to reflect on the essence of it all. Life at 70 and beyond isn't about waiting for an ending. It's about living in a way that leaves room for wonder, humor, compassion, and joy. It's about refusing to let regrets and fears overshadow the beauty that still exists. It's about speaking your truth, protecting your energy, and never letting a number define your capacity to dream anew. I hope you carry these insights with you and feel inspired to let go of at least one thing that no longer serves you. Maybe you'll choose to talk kindly to yourself about the past. Maybe you'll decide it's okay to be alone and find peace in your own company. Maybe you'll say no more often, or make the courageous choice to walk away from someone who hurts you, or even sign up for that class you've been too hesitant to try. Whatever it is, I encourage you to honor that impulse. If this message resonates, I invite you to share it with a friend who might also need to hear these words. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give each other is a gentle reminder that it's never too late to live in alignment with our hearts. Thank you for spending this time with me and for considering these ideas with an open mind. May you find peace in releasing what weighs you down, and may the days ahead bring you soft mornings, loving connections, and the gentle freedom to be exactly who you are without apology. Aging is not about losing yourself. It's about finally discovering who you've always been beneath all the layers. You deserve a life of lightness and grace, and I believe that with each thing you throw away, regret, fear, needless approval-seeking, toxic connections, and limiting beliefs about what's possible, you will step into the peaceful, happy life that is waiting for you on the other side.